Hi, this is Julianne and welcome back to Life Edit and Design. Today we are going to talk about what you can expect for the coming Halloween season. So this is the era of COVID. We're still dealing with the ramifications of social distancing and limited capacities and just mask wearing, and that's really affecting how things are going to go forward. And so this will be our first Halloween since the pandemic hit. And I thought I'd give you some previews on what you can expect and also some things that you might want to plan for. So this is a little bit early. I'm recording this actually in late August for early September release. But I really want you to think you're going to have to plan ahead this year. And we'll get into the reasons why in a little bit. So let's start off with what are some of the things that you can expect to see. First, I think you're going to expect there's going to be a lot less trick-or-treaters. People are not going to encourage their kids to go door to door to houses that they don't really know to pick up candy. What are they going to do? Sit the candy by a door for a while and let it air out before they let their kids dive in? Probably not. So they're probably going to stick to homes they know. They're probably going to stick to very small radiuses. You probably really aren't going to see a lot of trick-or-treating like you may have in the past. So what's that mean? A whole lot less candy sales. You're not going to see people stocking up candy jars at the office because a lot of people have not gone back to the office, so capacities are still very low. I live in New York State and we're still limited to 50%, and you'll see that a lot of businesses are actually operating at 25% or so and letting a lot of their staff stay home. So you're going to see a lot less candy sales, a lot less candy in the office, which is good for those of us that don't really want to be eating it. So it won't be around us quite so much. So that's one thing, but think about how that's going to impact the kids. And we'll get to that in just a minute. And then the other thing you're going to see is probably a lot less sales of adult costumes, right? Because there's not going to be the adult parties. People aren't going to be able to go to a great Halloween party. So you won't see the adults rushing out to buy costumes. You'll probably still see it in the kids departments. But if you're selling adult costumes, or if it's something that you always looked forward to, you may have to think about this year that you probably aren't going to have any Halloween parties to go to. Another big thing that I'm expecting, along with that less trick-or-treating and with these strange school circumstances we have, is that you're not going to see the kids' parades, which was a huge thing in daycare years and elementary years. That was a big thing. All the parents, the grandparents would come and they'd watch their child in costume parade. Well, the schools probably aren't going to do that this year, number one, because they don't want the crowds of parents, but number two, they may not have all the children in school at the same time. So how can you let some kids have a Halloween parade on Halloween and other kids not have that benefit? So I don't think you're going to see the Halloween parade, and they're not going to want kids kind of circulating throughout the school buildings. So probably a lot of schools will opt out for not doing the Halloween parade. Plus you have kids wearing masks. So how does that, is that allowable? Is it not allowable with their Halloween costume? Is the Halloween mask going to be incorporated into the costume? So a lot of changes to how kids are going to experience Halloween, and we're going to talk about what you can do if you have smaller children and if you have older children. How can you change your Halloween celebration? So that's kind of some of the things that I see is the no kids parades. So think about those grandparents who really love to come see that, and think about your child wearing the costume. If they're not going to be trick-or-treating and they're not going to have the school parade, what are they going to do with their costume? When are they going to get to wear it? How are they going to have fun this year? So those are some of the things that you need to think about as a parent, is how is Halloween going to be different for your child based on your community, your schools, your family, and your tolerance for being around other people. So I'm going to give you a lot of ideas here of what you can do. But the first thing that you need to know is everything's going to be different. You need to plan ahead. You can't use the same timelines you've used in the past because it's not going to work this time, because you have to rethink. You have to reinvent Halloween for your family, your kids, your community. So whole different way of thinking. Are you going to see more parades? Are you going to see the fire trucks come through your neighborhoods more? If that's so, you want to get on the calendar and find out when that's going to be and make sure that you have everybody home to celebrate in something like that, or to have fun with something like that. So some ideas. What do you want to do? Number one, think about home decor. You're going to be spending more time at home for Halloween. Home decor is going to sell out fast because everybody's thinking that same thing. They're going to be home for Halloween. They're not going to be able to go to a party. They're not going to be out trick-or-treating on Halloween night, so they want to have a fun atmosphere at home. So shop early for any Halloween home decor, any fall decor, because again, it's going to sell out fast. Go out now, use your coupons, go to Michael's, go to your at-home store, whatever it is, and buy your decor now. So be thinking. So what can you do to celebrate? So some things that I want you to think about is, okay, that photo op in the costume, what are we going to do with that? So you can plan some really fun events. You want to make, instead of Halloween being one night, you can kind of make it Halloween be a little bit more of a season to be more fun for your child. So what about the photo op? you could go to an apple orchard or some kind of farmer's market, something like that, something that they really get up and decorate. So we have a great farm out here that does a corn maze, and then they decorate, and they actually set up photo shoots. And our apple orchard does the same thing. They set up photo spots throughout. So get your child in costume, go out to the apple orchard on a beautiful day, and do your photo shoot. And that way you can send something to the grandparents or the aunts and uncles, people who can't be there, and in the absence of a parade, so you have a nice shot of your child in their Halloween costume. It may not have been on Halloween night, but you could definitely do it some other nights. So that's one thing, is plan those photo shoots ahead of time. Think about what's some great opportunities, and you can tie that into events. So now they're going apple picking, or they're going to a corn maze, and think about those corn mazes. They are a lot of fun. We have one here that they do at night, and you get to do it in the dark. And so you can have your child come in costume. They get to ride in a hay truck, on hay bales. They have a whole tractor that pulls this hay thing, whatever you call it, full of hay bales. Everybody hops on and rides out, and then they walk through the maze at night. Whether they'll be able to do that at the same capacity this year is certainly a question, but that was a lot of fun. So also be checking around. If that's something you do every year, are the apple orchards and are the corn mazes going to open to the same capacities? Are they going to be allowing you in? Because again, you're touching produce. So you want to know ahead of time, what are going to be the rules for your resources around your community, and what are they going to allow you to do? You probably can still get away with the photo ops, but maybe you can't walk through a corn maze where they're actually going to harvest the corn. Something to really be thinking about. And if that's a tradition for you to do something like corn maze, check ahead and see. Petting zoos, that was always a big thing in the fall. Maybe you can't do that this year, maybe you can, I don't know, but you're going to need to do your research, and that's a big thing, is you're going to have to plan ahead to know what you can and cannot do this year with your child to make it a fun season. So we've got photo ops covered. Make other kind of activities, other plans. So one of the things I was thinking about is, you could kind of be the hero of the neighborhood if you decide to host, maybe an outdoor bonfire on Halloween, or the weekend before, the weekend after, however works for you. But maybe you can hold a neighborhood bonfire. Everybody's outside. Maybe they're roasting marshmallows. Whatever. But if you're having some kind of activity where you draw just the neighborhood kids in their costumes, it's outdoors, you can definitely social distance and have a great time, but you'll need time to plan the event, but number two, to invite people so that they know, hey, there is something going on Halloween that my child can do. That's an alternative to trick-or-treating. And then you also need to be aware of any weather issues. There's days where it's cold, there's days where it's snowed. I live in New York again, so we had one time where it did snow on Halloween, which was crazy. And there's other times it was so warm that your costume was too hot. So think about, plan ahead, have a backup plan for rain. Another thing you can do is have a fun movie night. You can hang a sheet either in your garage or the side of your house. You could use the side of your house, borrow a projector from work if they'll let you, and shoot a movie and have the neighborhood kids come over, bring your own chair, bring your own snacks, and watch an age appropriate movie, maybe Spooky Buddies, Casper, Addams Family. There's tons of movies that you could get. Show them on your projector, run them right off your phone or whatever. Netflix probably has a ton of Halloween movies coming out. So you'll be able to watch and have all the neighborhood kids come, and it's a fun event, and they get to wear their costume. Because again, you want to be thinking, how can they still have the fun of Halloween? Now, if you have older kids, maybe it's an inside event and you're doing a scarier movie, Nightmare on Elm Street, something like that. I'm dating myself, I know. But maybe you have an older movie kid night and you just have a couple kids. You don't have to overdo it. But again, they're not going to be out trick-or-treating. What are they going to do? And they're probably not going to wear a costume, and they're not going to have the parties that they're used to. So think about your older child. How can you have a fun event? Other things that you can incorporate if you don't want to be outdoors or you don't want to host a movie night, fun dinners. Food coloring is king right now. So you can have pancakes in any color of the rainbow. What other foods? You can dye eggs, so you can have breakfast for dinner and have some really fun colored foods. Pasta, it comes in all kinds of shapes and colors, so you can really have an Italian night. So think about what you can do. You can drinks. You can always drop a few drops of food coloring into drinks. You can make a really fun dinner. So Halloween night, maybe they're not out trick-or-treating, but they're having some fun food, and then you top it off with fun cupcakes instead of the candy, something like that. But again, you gotta think, this is all gonna be different this year. Another thing, if you have older kids, is maybe you do like an age-appropriate paint and sip. So you come up with that fun drink that we were just talking about, and then you have them paint a pumpkin. There's so many tutorials right on in YouTube that you can find, and you just go to Michael's or wherever your craft store is, buy a few canvases, buy a pack of paints, and have a fun paint sip for your older kids. If they're younger kids, you can get coloring pages. There's tons of printables out on Etsy. You could download and have your kids do a coloring night, and maybe they could color a page for a couple of nights leading up to Halloween, and then have a bigger coloring book, or maybe some finger painting or something like that. So again, you got to be thinking, what am I going to do? And then make sure you get out ahead of the curve so that when you get there, it's not sold out. So think about, what kind of events could I hold for my kids? So what kind of activities can they be doing that's not going to involve trick-or-treating, that will be replacing trick-or-treating, and will be just as fun for them. The other thing, if you wanted to do some kind of games, if you want to do outdoor games, so again, going back to maybe the neighborhood idea, or maybe having some of your family come over being outside, you could decorate, like if you have the ladder ball, which is the kind of basically a ladder, very short ladder that you throw these balls that are tied together and it loops around the ladder, or cornhole toss. You could have games like that, but to make it more fun, you can use like glow sticks. So you could do, instead of throwing bean bags, or maybe the bean bags have a glow stick wrapped around them, or the hole on the cornhole toss you've outlined in glow sticks, or you've lined ladder ball and you've taped glow sticks to it. You could kind of come up with some fun things that they can do outside in the dark, so that, again, get the neighborhood kids together, or just get your extended family together, and people are doing things, but again, it's outside, gives you a little bit of activity. Again, have that bonfire going. You can really have a lot of fun, but you're going to have to use your creativity. Another fun thing, which I will have in the shop for you, is the Boo. Let me go get the Boo thing. So hold on one second. We're going to get the Boo printable, which I should have had, but hold on a moment. I'm back. Sorry about that. I should have had that up front. But anyway, this was a version I'd gotten a few years ago, and it's a version I will be redoing and putting in the shop, in my own version of it. But what you do is you go to a neighbor's house and you boo them, and you give them this little note that says you've been booed. And what they do is, just have some fun instructions, like pass along the boo. So people will hang their ghost. Again, I'll have a different version in my shop, but they'll hang their ghost on their door to say that they've been booed, and you go around at night and you boo other people. You give them the same 2 handouts, and you go door to door, maybe pick 2 or 3 neighbors, and you put this on their door that says they've been booed, and then they pass it along, and then the kids can color the ghost if they want. They can color it. And that allows them to go and kind of have some fun at night. So maybe for a couple of nights leading up to Halloween, you sneak out at night and you boo a few neighbors, and then you look around the next day to see how many other people have been booed, and through the course of the week to see how many of your neighbors' doors have a ghost hanging in the front. Just a fun, different thing that you can do. But again, you got to be creative this year. You got to come up with things that you can do that are a little bit out of the ordinary. So we talked about the movie night. We talked about crafts. So again, you may have other crafts that you really want to do. Maybe you want to have everybody decorate their own cupcakes, and then come over to your house and do that. But again, you need to think ahead this year. This is going to be a very different year. So my key tips are, don't assume it's going to be like normal. Assume that the parades are going away. You have to come up with other opportunities for the costume wearing, other opportunities for parents, grandparents to see your child in costume. You're going to have to kind of come up with things to do. If you're an adult, probably not going to have a party to go to, so what else can you do? Maybe you set up your own movie night and have your own fun things. And if you're an adult without children, or if you just want to do this for fun, you can check out the other video on the Halloween challenge that I have. I have a Halloween wellness challenge, which is just for adults, and you can check that out as well. But think about it. You're going to plan ahead. You're going to have to shop ahead because things are going to go fast, and you really want to communicate so that if you're going to involve neighbors or other extended family members, so that they can plan and they know that you have something special planned for Halloween. So good luck to you. This is a very different Halloween for this year, for 2020, but you can do it. A little planning and you'll have a great Halloween. We'll talk to you soon.